Very good morning. On behalf of the GEF CSO network, I would like to welcome the chair of the GEF CEO and council members, regional focal points of the GEF CSO network, members and civil society groups and others. Thank you for this joining this very special session today. First of all, when we look at the title of this session, GEF Council Consultation with CSOs, this is something new and better than before. So thanks GEF Secretariat for selecting the nice subject for consultation. So you are aware that GEF CSO network has been working from the beginning of the GEF, and currently we have been following few specific recommendations in our process. One is the recommendation from the council with the new vision. We have the recommendations from the independent evaluation office, and also particularly we have a very clear message from the GEF CEO. She made on October 17, 2012 in India. She told that we need innovation, we need communication, effective partnerships. Focusing on that, we are expecting that GEF CSO, what have been doing today can do even better because we have clearer guidance. As a part of that, first we need to look at our capacities. We have some capacity, but if we want to make it better, then civil society groups, they should join. They are focusing on the GEF focal areas and join as the technical working members. That gives them the opportunity to learn and share, and also it helps them when they go back to the countries. Because at the country level, there are a lot of gaps. So the new vision and the recommendations from the IEO, it tells to be more visible at the country level. To be visible, we need a mechanism, we need a process, not an event. So as a part of that process, we wish to propose that we should have a CSO government dialogue platform. It will help in many ways. If we look at the investment supports from the GEF from the beginning up to now, that is billions. And there are many messages from the GEF to the grassroots level doesn't reach very with the original flavor. It comes through agencies, and then when it goes to the country level, then GEF name, the value of the GEF, the clear message of the GEF, it goes, but not as it was at that I told the original flavor. Similarly, today we are going to have a special consultation on the pollution, the plastic. To bring this message to the grassroots level, there is very important to have a mechanism that can bring this message to the country level, bring the people to understand. And it is not easy to do by the governments, or it is not easy to do by the agencies. It is easier to do by the civil society people, because they are with the people at frontline who are experiencing the difficulties of the plastic pollution, who are experiencing the challenges, how it affects their agriculture, how it affects their lives, how it affects their everyday issues. So learning from the difficulties, if the people don't face difficulties, there is no way to see how to recover from that, because we learn from the challenges. If no challenge we face physically, if we don't experience it, we don't know how to come out. So this civil society CSO government dialogue platform aims to facilitate a mechanism, the messages from the GEF comes to the country level, and at the country level, it is another mechanism to make a well-organized, well-participated partnerships, what the stakeholder engagement policy talks about. Make meaningful participation. So to translate it into physical arena, so we proposed that this civil society governance dialogue platform, it should be chaired by the government. Example, operation of focal points, because government is the owner of everything. Agencies, they play very good role. So they can be the co-chairs. And then civil societies, they are the people at the grassroots level. They know who is where, what who is doing, and they have more time comparing to government or agencies. They can be the facilitator. Then that bridge, this government and agencies and civil society to work together to learn and to bring the messages from the GEF to the community level. So there are a lot other things can be done. Every year there are the national consultations. Civil society can participate, can facilitate, organize without any conditions. Because if I remember correctly, in the Danang Assembly, we made a commitment that civil society will engage with the government, with the agencies without any condition, because we want a transformation. The objective of the GEF, objective of the initiatives of the GEF, and that is the objective of the civil society network. We have no other new objective. To translate that objective at the grassroots level, bring it happen, that is the key essence that we want to make it happen. So this CSO government dialogue platform can be one good mechanism, and there are many other things that can help to bring us. And then civil society can help us to do the baseline, sex disaggregated baseline, because when we talk about update, improvement, excellence, resilience, sustainability, if there is no baseline, then what ground we claim that we make something significant output. Civil society is in a good position. They can facilitate this mechanism to make the recommendations given by the council members with the new vision, the IO, their recommendations, and the expectation from the GEF CEO, and the strategic plan of the GEF CSO network. So wishing all this, I really thank you again for this session, and I would like to invite the CEO and Chair of GEF for her welcoming remarks. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you so much, Sano. Very good morning to everyone. I'm very happy to be invited to this consultation meeting. I am quite excited to think that we will have a very good discussion for next 3 days, particularly given the fact that the outside world, things are really moving fast in a good way and bad way. And then it's really a good opportunity for us to think what the GEF family can do within that particular context. So let me start with my reflection of what's going on outside the world. You may recall that at the last council meeting in December, we briefly touched upon the scientific report issued by IPCC, 1.5-degree report. Basically, report said that we will be in a very difficult situation if we actually not able to bend the curve in next 12 years. And the report recommend that we really need to think about the total transformation in every aspect of our economy and society. So that was a very critical message. Interestingly, last month, that an IPBES, it's a kind of equivalent of IPCC, but for biodiversity, actually issued another very important report. And very good news is that it really hits the headline of the every major international the paper, to my very happy surprise. basically, they said that we are losing the biodiversity at a very high speed, maybe 100 to 1,000 times higher than natural rate. And out of 8 million plant and animal species on Earth, 1 million are threatened with extinction. The report identified that changes in land and sea use as the most impactful direct driver of change. My takeaway from those reports is that the science is now telling us very, very clear and loud that the natural world is under attack. We humans have pushed the carrying capacity of the earth to their limits. And unless we humans do change the way of our life, and urgently, we will lose the very favorable earth condition that are the very foundation of our own prosperity. That is how I see where we are. But I can also share with you my own good news. Good news is that I see that the world has been responding, and the momentum is trying to address those challenge has been growing quite rapidly. At the international level, that nature is becoming is rising on the agenda. That somehow that the climate change has been always the center, but now for the last maybe few months or the year, I see that nature is kind of catching up the climate change. I was very happy to see at the G7 environmental ministers meeting in Metz, France last month. Actually, that put the biodiversity at the center of that discussion. This weekend, I will attend the G20 environment, and there also biodiversity is an important issue. In months of April, Canada hosted a nature summit where the biodiversity is really at the core of the discussion, and we all talk about how we can actually find a way to protect the nature, but also that as a basis of our sustainable development. I came back from China this weekend and attended the China Council for International Development and Environment, where there's a very serious discussion about how biodiversity can be a basis of that sustainable development. Particularly, it's important because China will host the COP15 October in 2020. So there is a very serious discussion that among international community gathering there, that how the nature can be a much more focus and or the central focus of the policy dialogue. So this is one takeaway for the last few months in my own observation. But another important feature of the recent response from the world is that the very strong engagement by not only the government sector, but also that the business and the private and the CSOs, the community, and the academia. So non-state actors are really gathering together to come up with a meaningful solution. That has been very, very strong for the last few months, and I was very happy to see this movement coming forward. First, we see that after or towards the Paris agreement in 2015, but seems they are now accelerating further, partly in response to the very alarming the signal from the scientific report. But all in all, I think that what we are really trying to do is how we can either create or strengthen those partnership coalition to address the alarming situation. On the GEF side, I have also seen a lot of important platform kind of emerging and strengthened at this council meeting that we will discuss that several impact program, particularly say Food and Land Use Coalition, as I just noted, that an IP best identify the food and land use sector as the most important the causes of the degradation of environment and biodiversity loss. So it's very, very important for us to address the causes of those biodiversity loss, and the food and land use and impact program is exactly to address that by creating the coalition of not only government, both national and local, but also the communities and business and CSOs together, and also science to address this issue. For the last few months, I have been on the road to discuss this program with several countries, and everywhere I've been to, that the issue of a community and smallholders is very, very strong. That in Peru, in Colombia, in Ghana, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, everybody mentioned that without the very robust community of the smallholders, no program can really stand. So that I see that the role of the community and the CSOs is absolutely clearly noted, and it's really, really important. Just going back to maybe a few steps back, and what the GF has been also trying to do as a whole. You may recall that the Council adopted GEF 2020 in 2014, and we have quite shifted the way of our doing business around that time, and knowing that the challenge will be becoming bigger and bigger, and our response also needs to change. So under GEF 2020, we make it very clear that we want to shift our approach from addressing just the symptoms of environmental degradation, but also the causes of the environmental degradation, or driver of the environmental degradation. And we take a more systematic system-based approach, and also we adopted more integration and moving from just the silo way of doing business towards integrated way of doing business. We also emphasize the importance of multi-stakeholder coalition, noting that just a simple one entity or actor cannot address this issue, and we need a very diverse stakeholders partnership to address the drivers of environmental degradation. So that's why we have a lot of emphasis of multi-stakeholder coalition. So in a nutshell, that in GEF 2020, we noted that we want to do more driver-focused system-based approach, and we value the integration, and we value the multi-stakeholder coalition, which of course does involve the role of the community and CSOs. And then under GEF 6, which ended last year, we have several integrated approach pilot to present, realize those kind of new way of doing business. And we were now ending the first year of the GEF 7, where we also take a much more systemic approach to the challenges. So that is how we are, and in a nutshell, yes, that the challenge outside the world has becoming bigger and bigger, more and more challenging and alarming, but our response, our ability to respond is also becoming stronger. We have much more scientific knowledge. We have much more knowledge of what works or what doesn't work. So I have a very good feel that yes, that we come to know what kind of things we can do together with you. So in this context, I'm very pleased to see that dialogue we will have today with you is very, very timely. First topic I understand is exactly the issue of, okay, what's the title? the civil society contribution to higher results and impact, and this is going to be very, very important topic, given the fact that it's really a time for us to come together to seek for the higher impacts and higher results. So that I very much wanted to look forward to that discussion. Again, I very clearly noted that the role of civil society and the community is a key part of this multi-stakeholder platform. That I witnessed that point through my conversation with various countries, and I hope you could come up with a very good solution or ideas in it. The second topic I noted is also marine plastic. We have chosen, actually you have chosen this topic because this topic is very clearly noted that the role of the community, again, everywhere in the country I visited and then discussed the marine plastic issue, the role of the community is clearly noted and identified. And it's actually very, very promising to see that the number of innovation, the good ideas are coming from communities. So I'm very much interested in, again, that in the discussion of this afternoon session. Here that the partnership with community, the CSOs and the business going to be very important. And I hope that we can learn the lessons from that discussion when we implement the GEF CEO program going forward. So these are maybe the key topic or my expectation for today's discussion with you. And hopefully we can learn more. We can have more discussion for the next 3 days at the council. Before ending, I just also want to make 2 points. One is, and I am actually now that the so-called the Commissioner of Global Commission of the Adaptation, this commission, Global Commission for the Adaptation, was established the last fall and chaired by the Bill Gates, Ban Ki-moon, and Kristalina Georgieva of the World Bank. And under those 3 co-chairs, there may be 20 or so the global commissioners. And I have attended several discussions on that. Again, that you could imagine the role of the community, the CSOs have been very strongly identified. So this is also another opportunity for us to think through the role of community and CSOs. So that's one. The second thing, and I promise this is my last message, is that going forward, next year, that 2020 is considered to be a super year 2020, because, well, for several reasons, you can imagine that the Biodiversity COP15 will adopt a post-2020 IT framework, which is absolutely critical for the reason I just mentioned. We are losing biodiversity, which is our foundation of the life. And so we need to really find a way to address that. There is an interesting momentum coming out, realizing the so-called call for New Deal for nature, whatever it means. There is a clear sense that we need to find something. And there is also the sense of urgency. This may be the last one chance. 2020 also see that the climate COP, that there is a time for COP to review that where we are, and also NDC will be updated. It's very important time for climate science. And there is also the ocean, the conference, the summit in 2020. So there are a lot of important epoch-making events. It's not just the events, it's an opportunity for community to come together to think about what we can do after 2020. So that we are just in sprint for a super year 2020, and I hope the CSO's community can play a very important role in it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam, for your very comprehensive and very guiding message. So there are few points to highlight. Impact program, and then government, CSO communities, and local business, smallholders, they have integrated approaches and system-based approach. What to make it happen? Our initiative is to bring together government, civil society, community, agencies at the country level, so that any initiative taken at the global level, that can civil society can facilitate to the grassroots level. That is our main message. So thanks for that. And also good news that we have more scientific knowledge. To translate this scientific knowledge at their daily lives, so that needs some internal intermediary processing where government and CSOs can work well to make it happen to the grassroots level. Thanks for that. And the key theme of this council meeting on plastic pollution, this is one of the very need-based situation. Topic selection, global, total development, total ocean, total soils, environment is going to be affected highly because of the plastic and need attention right now. And GEF has taken this appropriate decision timely. And also we see the next council consultation, you have very good topic you selected. So appreciated this. We also would like to propose the next council meetings, thematic area. Example, resilience, because GEF 7 and GEF 8 will be the key pillar, not this pillar, key pillar for contributing to the SDGs. And we need to see how the resilience look like. And Madam also talked about the Global Commission for Adaptation. So resilience, adaptation, disaster risk reduction, climate change, this is all at the grassroots level, at the community level, this is just a coin, not many sides. At the global level, it has different sides, but at the community level, they don't differentiate in many ways. So we need, if we think about resilience, but current, all the initiatives, development programs, does not reach up to the resilience level, because any project we develop, the framework goes up to the project period. Project finish, its resources finish, technical supports finish, everything closes, and then that is the beginning of resilience. We don't have any mechanism, we don't have any indicators to see. And I'm very happy to share you, as I am the first experience I have with GEF at HGP in Cambodia, and we have very successful examples of resilience. So putting this example, and we have a lot of examples around the world. So we can bring it, and then if GEF decide to pick up resilience as one of the themes for the following council meeting, civil society will be honored to contribute as much as they can with their capacities. And also, actually, madam, I write a book on resilience, and I expecting to launch it, but still some review are not yet finished. So that gives a framework, how to measure, how to quantify resilience. So if we want to go further, we have opportunity to talk, but if the GEF set the policy as a thematic area, then we can have the opportunity. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to request my colleague Lalit to facilitate the question and answer sessions. And colleagues, kindly feel free if you have any question, clarification to chair and the GEF CEO. And on the discussions, you are welcome. Please, Lalit.
Thank you, Sano. Thank you, Sano. Now floor is open for question answer. We have 20 minutes. So kindly raise your hands. Yeah. Tracy?
Good morning. Thank you, Naoko, for all that you're doing, and to my colleagues up at the high table. You have expressed a lot of encouragement for the civil society's participation.
Just introduce first yourself.
Okay. My name is Gwevese Tracy Ogbona. I'm the RFP for GEF CSO Network West Africa, just elected 2 weeks ago. And so I have listened to what you've said about the challenges that we are having currently. We, as the CSO network, also have been doing quite a great deal. But one of the challenges that I would like for the Secretariat to address is to fund the CSO network, because there's so much work that we can do at the regional level and also at the global level to contribute to the environment. And just like Sano has said, there's so much issues that are on ground. So I want to know how the Secretariat can support the network, especially financially, so that we can carry out some work at our regional level while we work with the SGP, and while we also look for funds elsewhere to implement our programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Next question. We will have at least 3 questions, and then Madam CEO will answer. Yeah.
Merci. Je voulais.
Thank you. I'm Bema Gado. I'm from Togo. I'm the director of an NGO, Science and Technology for Sustainable Development, which is deeply committed in the fight against plastic contamination in my country and in the area. Countries in Africa are deeply affected by plastics contamination. On the beaches in particular, when you go through the West Africa country, you can see that it's not livable due to plastic contamination. You see, plastics are everywhere, and particularly single-use plastics, which is polluting the marine ecosystem. Now, the GEF financing, particularly for our country, has not been geared at management of plastics. Most financing are geared at ecosystem, forestry, and so on. We benefited from financing coming from the 6th stage, and we are using it. In our country, we are considered as a model, as a good example in the field of plastic contamination and the fight against it. But we nearly missed that financing. And I'd like to stress that for the countries which have a literal, it's a real very important topic. We need more financing to fight against plastics pollution. Unfortunately, we do not receive enough. Even though we wish to intervene, the NGOs and civil society wish to intervene in this field, but we don't have the means to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. I am Sana Tak Tak, President of the Association of Continuity of Generation from Tunisia. I am an occupational health doctor and the regional focal point of North Africa and the network. I want to highlight the role of the CSOs at country and at regional level. And I think that CSOs can have a good role to play at this level to promote GEF objectives and GEF's activities. We are good placed to talk about GEF projects and GEF activities, and we have many knowledge now and many experience getting this from GEF, which I consider it's a high school for CSOs. I think that from my experience, what I learned from GEF is very nice. I am occupational health doctor, and I find now I am as personal research in environment issues. And I want to say thank you for this knowledge that we get, but we have a role to do more in country level and in regional level by having new tools, new means, and new way how to promote this. And I have many ideas about this. Thank you.
Now I request Madam CEO to respond.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe starting with the gentleman from Togo about marine plastic, which is directly related to this afternoon's discussion. You are quite right that there aren't really a very convenient instrument from GEF in the past, partly because you may recall this is a new area. I mean that issue has been there, but then the political attention has been growing maybe for the last 2 years or so. So that then under the GEF 7, we clearly recognize that this is an area we want to work more. But as you also may notice, that it's the problem is well recognized. The solution is quite difficult to kind of identify because when that plastic is gone to the sea, it's kind of too late. So that we need to find a way to how to arrest that those plastic actually flowing into the ocean before it reaches the sea, which means that then you need to bring the let's say the municipalities, the business, and along the river or the ocean, how to handle those plastics. But also, if you take the more comprehensive approach, you need to think about the life cycle of the plastic, which does involve a design of the plastic itself or design of the product itself, which needs to in turn involve quite a diverse manufacturer of goods, so that this issue requires quite a deep and thorough thinking about life cycle approach and a very upstream what we should do with the business. On the downstream, what kind of collaboration is needed along the municipalities along the river and the business along the river, so that there are quite a thinking which needs to go through to address that issue. So we were quite, I would say, ready to work with partners and work with the communities. And you may see that the several projects are kind of coming into the work program, but also that in the following work program. And I would say, when I mentioned the multi-stakeholder platform, what I have in mind is actually one of them is actually that a coalition along the plastic, that at an upfront level towards the downstream level, and a lot of coalition is popping up. That I was in Ghana because that Ghana is one of the first country to be chosen and the Global Plastic Initiative Action Program, and then maybe more to come. So I would say that yes, I do understand your frustration that there aren't really quick usable method or instrument from GEF, but it's kind of will coming together through the platform, and I hope that we could come together, work together for meaningful, impactful solutions. Not only Africa, but also Asia, the marine plastic is a very big issue, and we have also announced that we will work with ASEAN countries to come up with how to strengthen the national regulation and a platform so that they can, countries, government can not only work with policy and regulation, but create a meaningful investment platform so that the business sector can also do their part, so that more to come. And I feel that this is the area we should be able to do together more. About the expectation that the lady talked from regional focal point of the West Africa, that yes, that I raised a lot of expectation the CSOs, and you rightly pointed out that you need financial resources. Under GEF 7, there is no single siloed the standalone budget for the CSOs. However, the work I think that we wanna continue is that like marine plastic just mentioned, how we could really come up with a program or the project which involve the role of the CSOs and the communities. I think that is the way that the GEF can actually work more effectively together with CSOs and the communities. So rather than thinking about the standalone financial mechanism or the pot of money, that I think the council have opted to go for more the project program based way of working with community and CSOs. That would be my answer. And I very much looking forward to your ideas and new tools and the new means going forward. And there may be more discussion in the first session this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Seno, want to comment something?
So, Madam, thank you. Actually, one of our expectation, without money, nothing happens. This is the reality. But we are talking about the CSO government dialogue platform, where we don't expect you create a new mechanism to money for it. As for example, we have more than 100 countries, HGP. Each country, if there is a project, because they will be working with the civil society, if the country focal point have one project to establish this dialogue platform, establish this mechanism, facilitate the national consultations, do the public awareness raising, campaign, seminar. So one project in each country from HGP that can support this mechanism, and it doesn't require to create a new way, and it is not easy to do that. So from the existing facilities and opportunities that we will discuss in the second session, it is the possible that all the country level civil societies, along with private sector, business associations, government, all they can come together to follow that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Seno. Now, Maria.
It's Maria. First of all, Naoko, I want to thank you. I've been re-elected because I come here again as a regional focal point in my region. This is South America. And you know that in Uruguay, the country where we base our organization, we are now executing a medium-sized project that civil society invite the government, the national focal point on each conventions, and also we work with the local institutions, others NGOs, and also the local government. I mean, in all that mix, we just make the effort to work together. That is a hard work, but we have that opportunity because when we propose to you this program, you really promote our work, and now it's running. And I think the good part of this is work together is possible, and it's very powerful when you sit around the table, like today, and with different perspective, we just have the best potential, and the best of all is ourselves, our effort, our love for what we do. And Together for Life and working for regeneration of ecosystems is our big deal today. Thank you again.
Imtiaz.
Good morning. I am Imtiaz Ali from India. I started a rack pickers upliftment project 2007, a SGP in 2010, and scaling up 2015. Today we are feeding the policy with Mr. Saudi, UNDP with support from SCUBL. This is a 13 million US more funding SGP to be done. This Bhopal model is replicated in Government of India, 2,000 cities and 2 lakh waste picker engage this project. And this plastic waste management rack pickers offering project, all multi-layer plastic and non-recycled plastic collect through waste picker and made a road construction to rural and using alternative fuel and many type of items of sheets and chairs made this plastic. Thank you.
Yeah, Thelema.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Thelma, and I'm from Mozambique. I would like just to share what Sanu has mentioned. We are actually currently, together with the other grantees from small grants in the country, implementing in a way each of us contribute from the funding that we receive. We take a sort of amount, we put together, and we have our internal meeting to see the way forward in terms of our project implementation and sustainability. So Sanu, yes, we already started this year with a small grant program. After 6 years, I must say, it wasn't very easy to build a relationship, but finally we managed. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Merci, je suis Jérôme Citamon.
Thank you. I'm Jérôme Citamon. I come from Central African Republic. I was really impressed by the emphasis you mentioned, an emphasis which is necessary on working together, GEF, communities, academy, fighting to protect biodiversity requires that synergy. But I'd like to know, what is a GEF policy? How do you plan to encourage that very important synergy? I'd like also to draw your attention on the fact that Very often, when we talk about plastic pollution, we talk a lot about large urban areas. We mentioned a lot also about marine pollution, which is very important, I recognize, but there are other things to be taken into account. What we've seen in CAR it is that as far as forest policies or rehabilitation of degraded land, we talk a lot about forests concessions, but there are other things that people don't realize. And it is the agricultural field. Many people open their fields in the forest, and then they use them when we go to the forest and when they dedicate themselves to seasonal activities. We have 4 forest communities in my country. But do we really know what is the degraded surface due to that kind of agricultural practice of deforestation? Do we really know the importance of that phenomenon? We have also to understand that danger of degradation can come from areas which are quite unexpected. When we talk about building new roads, those roads go through indigenous areas and are polluted by plastics due to the road building. You have hunters also who use plastic in those areas, while the local population are not aware of the danger that plastics or that kind of practices represent. But I think we should pay a lot of attention to this kind of hidden pollution which happen in a country like mine. Thank you.
Mr. Sodi.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Naku, for the opening remarks and giving us the thought process on systemic and integrated approaches for investments into plastics. Much appreciated. My colleague just mentioned to you that in India we started with the small grants. Having worked with small grants over 15 years, it's very difficult to leave it. And no way you can get away from it. It comes back again and again to you. And you want to encourage the investments made through the small grants in the civil society movement. And with that, the example is what my colleague just said, that we started a project and now it's working into replication through 2 large private sectors with Coca-Cola and Hindustan Unilever, with an investment about $30 million, which he mentioned. Government is very closely working to establish the extended producer responsibility for the plastics in the industry and how to bring back that. And I think so the points which you mentioned and how the GEF has kept the whole session would be very rewarding to understand what the global thoughts and policies are there. And listening to all the colleagues here would be of immense value. I think so, as one of the colleagues at the dais, Sano, said, that it will be important if we can create a small window within the system for the plastics as such with the civil society, maybe a dialogue, maybe experimentations, because everybody is struggling there. Thank you very much, please.
Madam CEO.
Thank you for another set of great remarks and questions. I feel quite encouraged to hear that my feeling of working together is the only way to achieve the transformative impact seems to be shared by many of you. And from that point of view, I don't necessarily think the government owns everything, actually. I actually think that the role of the non-government sector, non-state sector is becoming much, much bigger. And that's why the GF has been emphasizing, particularly maybe for the last few years, that multi-stakeholder coalition is important, and also knowing that GEF is really a drop in the ocean in terms of resources. We really need to find a way to make maximum use of those GEF resources, which in my view, where we could really invest in, to me, it's a multi-stakeholder kind of platform so that we can really shift the system. So that was the thinking behind it. Gentleman asked that what is the GEF's policy of the synergy? I think that would be my answer to you. And also he mentioned that there are many hidden pollution or the environmental degradation. But as I mentioned in my opening, IPBES identified agriculture as the major causes of the environmental degradation, but also it mentioned that human settlement, infrastructure, urbanization are another set of biodiversity loss and environmental degradation. So I think that through the GEF work program, particularly presented this council, try to really address those very comprehensive human pressure on us, and many of them really identify the role of the community in it. I don't necessarily want to repeat anymore, but then I think it's really there. And while I was visiting to many of the countries, one thing I also noted is not only role of the smallholders or community, but also local knowledge of, let's say, what kind of soil, what kind of fertilizer, what kind of agriculture practices are most important to each of the region or landscape. I think this kind of knowledge is very, very local, and it's very, very important. I think not only the GEF, but the business community is really willing to learn from those local knowledge. So that is something we need to pick up, or we need to make sure that our project or program will pick it up. India's case of starting with a small grants program, now scaled up to the business investment, is a very good one. You mentioned that EPR as a policy. In fact, in Nigeria, I think we are approving one project in Nigeria which is addressing the e-waste, electronic waste, and part of the program is actually implementation or introduction the EPL in it, which is the key to deal with to this kind of an pollution program. So I think that it's very useful to do a bit of lessons learned among the projects. So for us to learn what are the key success levers to the success of the program. So maybe that I think I hope I did answer most of the question. So do we need final thing or all the questions? Okay.
Yeah.
Good morning. Thank you very much. My name is Irina. I am from Armenia. I'm the co-founder of ISSD NGO, which is one of the first organizations in Armenia to promote fighting against plastic pollution and promote circular economy in our country. And also we are the beneficiaries of GEF. I believe that it is, at this point, the plastic pollution has become such an important thing that it is not so difficult to raise money, but the difficult thing is to combine non-governmental organizations' work with legislative changes. And what we have come to is that after our case study has been published in GEF's global publication on plastic waste and circular economy, many organizations, non-profit, for-profit, and also state organizations have been more interested in this process. So my question is, if there is a way that GEF can support the beneficiaries or organizations that are working in this field to be able to combine their efforts with the government or the agencies that are responsible for making the legislative changes and be able to further promote the work that they have already done to state level.
Anna?
Good morning, Ms. Naokoisi, and thank you for this opportunity to speak in such an important dialogue before the actual council meeting happens. I am from the Republic of Palau, a small island in the Pacific, and I have been listening to the different conversations, and one thing that keeps popping up in my mind is how do we work to promote resilience in small communities? I think that small communities resilient really depend on their level of knowledge and education on the current threats to biodiversity and ecosystem services. And I witnessed this in our small communities in Palau, where oftentimes small communities are left to defend themselves against corporate developments, not necessarily good ones, that degrade what we are most concerned about in terms of biodiversity and habitats that local communities depend on greatly. And most of this development are imposed on small, poor communities where they are not in the best position to defend themselves or understand the significant impact of poor development in their own natural resources. And I wonder, how can GEF help to facilitate this dialogue so that the development from major corporations that are not necessarily good for the environment or the lives of those who depend on those natural resources are better addressed at the global community level? A great example is big corporation companies that come into the Pacific Islands to conduct sea mining projects that have such impact on the lives of fishers communities and small communities in particular, who have nothing else to stand on but those resources and are most vulnerable to this very negative habitat and environmental impact types of development. Thank you.
And the last one, Seno.
So, thank for these very comprehensive discussions. So, one of the observation is that GEF can play a very important role from the top to bottom of the plastic system, because we need to work at the policy level. So the governments make the plastic related productions not encouraging, so that the production is reduced. In the same time, also the use of the plastic, if some produce then that compostable plastic that can because cannot just avoid easily, have to have the alternatives, but if it is compostable then that can help. And in the same time also can work like this experiences, how to come up with what produced already. So then that can help. Thank you.
Madam CEO.
Thank you so much. I think that now we will continue to have a good discussion about marine plastic the entire afternoon of 4 hours. And the good sign is that we will have a representative from business and the government and the agencies, so that we will, I think that some of those questions will be very really thought through that session. I think that partnership and the role of government and the business, government, actually both local and national business and the CSOs really need to be well thought through. I think that then all of those partners have to really come together so that then so that we can have a very comprehensive program. And I would say that we, the GEF, is participating several platforms dealing with the circular economy as well as plastic. Again, I don't think that that GEF on its own can really address it. We have to be a part of the bigger program, bigger platform. But then the conversation we will have this afternoon will be very, very useful for us to equip very well with when we go to and attend and participate in those platform discussions at a bigger, scale, particularly with big business and with government. So I very much look forward to discussion this afternoon. The question about coming from island states, I very much agree and really appreciate what you shared with us. I can think of maybe two ways forward and which we need to explore. The one is this dialogue of Global Commission of Adaptation. One topic raised in the last month is actually that the local action initiated by communities. There is a big topic actually that raised, and we were trying to figure out that what's the best way to actually mobilize or utilize those kind of political interest from those big commissioners. So maybe we can have a continuous conversation that how we raise with particular maybe a solution that how the dialogue should be developed. So that's one. Second option, or actually opportunity, which is of course compatible with the first option, is that GEF is now participating in an ocean discussion, so-called high-level panel of the ocean, which will be maybe having the summit type of discussion in 2020. And this is trying to actually figure out what's the role of the business, and including sea mining kind of thing. So there is another very concrete discussion I think we can have. So I will ask my staff to get in touch with you to see some of your insights that how the discussion needs to actually to be developed. So thank you so much for the very concrete and suggestion to be for us. I think that then I kind of respond to, I hope that the questions tabled before I leave. Yeah, before I leave, I just want to reiterate one more time that the challenge surrounding us is really getting bigger and bigger and urgent. I think that there is no single entity can solve this issue, and that's why this partnership and the platform is absolutely critical. And I think it is our commitment to work with all of you and to through multi-stakeholder platform so that we can address that issue much more systematically, much more frontally. So that would be very important time for us, and let us work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam CEO. On behalf of GEF CSO Network and behalf of all the CSOs participating, we are very thankful to you for providing time and sharing your views and answering the queries of the participants. Thank you, Madam. Very much. The next session will continue, so all the participants are requested to be seated here.